I actually have something I wanted to bring to the news today. So if you'll permit me to squeeze in here a little news that is in my mind breaking. With the last few weeks or months, we've had two previous stories about Wizards of the Coast and various lawsuits that have been brought to them. This week over at ICV2, which is sort of an industry shop talk news site for talking about pop culture and pop culture industry and stuff like that. There's been some interesting discussions about why these lawsuits are happening. And when we were talking about the lawsuits, the first one was Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, I believe, that were suing Wizards of the Coast because of breach of contract for some Dragonlance stuff. And then more recently than that, we had Gale Force 9, who does a lot of D&D supplement type stuff, are also suing Wizards of the Coast for breach of contract. We were like, why are they doing this? And we had all of these reasons as to why they could possibly be doing this. And none of them quite made sense, especially when there's multiple of them happening. But this week, somebody on the industry site, ICV2, suggested something that is now gaining a lot of traction, which I can't not say something about because we've been in this for a couple of months now. And that is this. It looks as if maybe Hasbro is looking to sell Wizards of the Coast. And if that is true, then these lawsuits make perfect sense because they want to be able to sell the property without having any sort of other previous obligations or contracts hanging over their head. So Wizards of the Coast makes no sense to just give up contracts that were going somewhere. But if they want to sell, and that's more important than continuing the contract, then they might want to enter 2021 with a clean slate and be able to offer this as a nicer looking package with no strings attached to potential buyers. So that is the thing that makes sense to me. Bobby, what do you say?
If that's the case, though, they're doing a bad job at it for sure, because these lawsuits are going to devalue Wizards of the Coast. They're going to lower the value of Wizards of the Coast. I don't know if devalue is the right word, but because it's going to look like a more risky proposition, right?
I don't know that that's true, especially...
I mean, that's my speculation, of course.
Especially if you go in there and you say, well, yes, this is why we did it. But I don't think... And I don't mean to devalue Gale Force 9 or Weiss and Hickman, but I'm pretty sure that those two properties are not making all the money for D&D, sure, right? Like, those are fairly... obscure peripheral products compared to the strength of the core D&D or Wizards of the Coast in general, Wizards of the Coast products, right? So Magic and its success is not hinging on whether or not Weiss and Hickman do write more words or release another book. Right. They're nice peripherals, and I think they would sell, but I don't think that the Wizards of the Coast in any way, shape, or form is going to lose stock over this.
Yeah. It makes sense. I understand what Bobby is saying, though. Like the idea that yes, it looks like you are not a good company to buy, but at the same time, you're a leaner company with less commitments. So therefore, it's easier to potentially sell you off. So it's like, I can see that. Mind you, this seems like it's just a speculative theory, right? But it makes sense.
Well, and also there's other evidence, right? So that we talked not too long ago about how Hasbro's in a recent Hasbro earnings call, get the words out, Bobby. They talked about how Wizards of the Coast they're making money, and that line of business is increasing in value with things like Magic: The Gathering and even the D&D stuff, but in general, that Wizards of the Coast was doing well. So, which is not I'm saying that's evidence for wanting to sell the company. Like if it's doing well, then it could sell for more.
So here's a couple other things to consider. This is again ICV2 talk. Apparently, Hasbro has never really wanted to deal with Dungeons & Dragons or Magic. They've been focusing all their attention on more lucrative products, which My Little Pony, Star Wars, and Transformers are clearly far ahead of either Magic or which confuses me. I wouldn't have thought My Little Pony would have been so far ahead of Magic, but
wait, wasn't that supposed to be like a D&D hack anyway?
No,
well, the RPG game. The RPG game, yeah, but My Little Pony has been a Hasbro property for a very long time.
Got it. Yeah, since the 80s. Yeah. Hasbro is a board game company, and D&D and Magic, don't particularly fit into that. At least not their traditional model of doing things. It cleans up the company, cleans up both Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast.
I don't buy that because at least since the early '80s, the early 2000s. They've been more of a toy company. They make action figures. They have a whole line of action figures that they make and sell. So
yeah, the only thing I would be super curious about is who would be able to put up the cash for that kind of sale. D&D and Magic are both incredibly popular things right now in the cultural moment. I don't know that anybody. I mean, who bought Asmodee, or did Asmodee buy a whole?
Asmodee's the one that buys everybody, but
yeah, I doubt Asmodee maybe, but like even like Paizo, right? Like I don't think they would have the cash to do that.
There's only one company I can think of that's interested in role-playing games that has that cash. Wendy's.
Speak its name.
Wendy's.
Wendy's.
I make joke.
Can you imagine if Wendy's was like, why not? Let's like a bidding war between Arby's and Wendy's and their social media, and then like this is the most cyberpunk thing ever.
Yeah.
Bidding war over. Oh, that would be so sad and hilarious at the same time.
Smiles in the chat does say that makes a good point. Hasbro sells toys, yes, but D&D and Magic the Gathering don't really drive toy sales compared to other properties, and that's true. My question, though, my thought would then again be, then why buy Wizards of the Coast to begin with if you're not interested in the D&D and Magic stuff? But unless, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, unless the whole strategy, from the corporate strategy, was to buy the company, pump money into it as Hasbro to increase its value, and the plan always was to sell it.
I don't know about that. So, I think they probably wanted Magic. I think they probably saw that selling, and I think now that they have it, it's not like Magic is in its heyday anymore. So I think maybe it didn't go the way. It's profitable, but it's not profitable compared to Hasbro, right? I think it would make sense for me. Like big companies do this all the time, right? Like they sell successful things because, like, honestly, they just don't want to deal with it, and it's not affecting their bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe maybe Catalyst Game Labs would be interested in buying this.
Yeah. Although
that was this week's business beat.
I cannot wait to see where this goes, because my sniffer is smelling some juice coming more from this. We're going to see more about this in recent days.
Yeah.
What was that, Bobby? Was that too much?
You got to work on that that metaphor.
The old juice sniffers activating.
The sniffer's sniffing some juice.